Order and welcome everyone to the March regular meeting of the Buncombe County Board of Adjustment. It is March 11th, 2026. Welcome. We'll start with announcements from staff.
Good afternoon. I wanted to let you all know that the first hearing on today's agenda, the ZPH 2025-00016 Southern Towers Woodmere Special Use Permit, that will need to be continued because a variance application is going to have to be submitted and heard concurrently with that special use permit, and the variance application had not been submitted in time for it to be heard at today's meeting. We have received the application, so it would be possible to have that heard at the April 8th regular meeting.
So we got the variance application in, but it needs to be handled before we hear the case. So looks like April's a good time for that, April 8th. So we will entertain a motion to continue that to the April 8th regular meeting.
So moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Thank you. It passes. Any other announcements on any other items? Good to go? Okay. Moving forward, we'll do a roll call of board members next. Start with Joel.
Paul Wazinski. Gabe Quisenberry.
Andy Ball.
Greg Phillips.
Mark Diaz.
David Weinstein.
And staff.
Dana Alley,
Jason Payne.
Savannah Glantz,
Amy Broughton,
Griffin Kearns.
Tarana Sauter.
Thank you all so much. Moving to approval of meeting minutes, we have minutes circulated for the January 14th meeting of the board. If I'm not mistaken, that's just the only set, correct? Okay. So if any board members have any edits, any suggestions, any comments, or a motion regarding those minutes.
Move to approve.
There is a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Thank you. That passes. Moving to disclosure of ex parte communications. That is defined by statute as any board member exercising quasi-judicial functions pursuant to the NC General Statutes shall not participate in or vote on any quasi-judicial matter in a manner that would violate any person's constitutional rights to an impartial decision-maker. Impermissible violations of due process include, but are not limited to, a member having a fixed opinion prior to the hearing that is not susceptible to change, an undisclosed ex parte communication, close familial, business relationship, or other associational relationship with an affected person, or a financial interest in the outcome of the matter. We'll go do that disclosure, starting with Joel.
No. No. No.
No.
No.
No.
No.
Okay, thank you all. Moving to our public hearing section, we're going to start with ZPH 2025-00030, Swannanoa Apartments Special Use Permit. We have Planner Dana Alley to present that matter.
Please raise your right hand and state your name.
Dana Alley,
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
I certify that this public hearing was properly noticed and all applicable parties were notified of the meeting in accordance with general statutes and county code. I ask that all applicant and staff materials be accepted into the record as evidence.
Seeing no objection, so ordered.
This is a review of ZPH 2025-00030 Swannanoa Apartments. Applicant is David Graffius of Gray Engineering. Project is located on 2175 and 2173 US 70 Highway. The total acreage is 3.93 acres. Development is serviced by public water and sewer. Zoned R3 with no overlays present. This is for the development of a 2-bedroom residential units, 48 of them across 2 apartment buildings. Maximum building height in R3 is 35. They're requesting a deviation to 42.69. If approved by the board, staff recommends the following conditions of approval, which I will summarize. 2175 and 2173 must be recombined prior to submitting for site plan review. Prior to commencement of land disturbance and construction, applicant shall submit a site plan review permit for the entire project. Project must be constructed as depicted in site plan. An applicant must agree in writing to these conditions prior to commencement of site work.
I think we understood from that the building height was the only piece that was.
That is the only
listed for
deviation, yes.
As a deviation. Thanks so much. Yeah. Any questions for staff? Thank you so much. Thanks. Anyone here to speak as a, to sort of standing application to the board for standing in this matter?
We did receive one request to participate as a party with standing from Philip Fisher.
Okay. Mr. Fisher present with us. Wonderful. You'll come up, approach. Just this dais here, and there's a microphone there. You'll speak closely into it so the board can hear you. They'll swear you in first.
Please raise your right hand and state your name.
Philip A. Fisher.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Fisher. Appreciate you being here.
Oh, thank you for giving me.
Just let us know what your case would be to be a party with standing in the hearing today.
I'm new to this, so you tell me if I don't have a standing.
Sure, yeah.
So, me and my wife own the property immediately to the east of this property, and we have a single-family dwelling on that property. And, it butts close to the development, so, I have like 3 different things that I've kind of identified that I feel like that should be, first of all, I want to say I'm not opposed to development. I just want it to be thoughtful, considering the things that I've got. But first thing I wanted to point out was when I went to
Sorry,
review.
before we go into detail, I'm sorry, with that, can we just clarify, there's four elements of a standing application we need to look at and satisfy, just to provide clarity on this?
Yes. Thank you.
We'll have staff have some input on that before we have you continue.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm going to look up the specific verbiage, but for the purposes of this hearing, the important part is that there will be special damages, not generalized damages. That would be what would set apart this particular person from just a witness. So let me
Right.
look up the exact language, and I'll get back to you in a second.
Yeah, sure. We're going to have witness testimony toward the end of the hearing for anybody who's here to speak for or against, or just add comments if you'd like to. But as far as a standing application, that'd be somebody who participates in the hearing with rights to cross-examine everybody and present a case themselves for their position on it. So rather than hear the details right now of the argument, let's make sure we have standing first. Yeah. Thank you. And, that's obviously something that the criteria is that the entire general neighborhood or surrounding other property owners would not have the same kind of issue with the development. It would be special to your property, unique to your property or your circumstances.
Probably another property but
Right. It could affect the, your issues with it could be something that the neighbors have issues with as well.
yes, I
I mean,
would
some
think
of
so.
the language is on the application.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. For some reason, oh, you sent it to me by Teams.
I meant to print that out for this meeting, but I didn't do it. So.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, the criteria is the following. Ownership interest in the property that is the subject of the decision being appealed, a leasehold interest in the property that is the subject of the decision, or an interest created by easement, restriction, or covenant in the property. This can't be, this isn't, oh yeah. An option or contract to purchase the property that is the subject of the decision, an applicant before the decision-making board whose decision is being appealed. That doesn't sound quite right to me.
Yeah, it's close, but yeah.
Yes, any other person who will suffer special damages as a result of the decision. So in this case, Mr. Fisher does not meet the first criteria, but is asserting that he will suffer special damages as a result of the decision. And the statutory citation is 160D-1402, sub C.
Okay. So if you want to go into just a little bit of detail about that, about whether you think those damages would be unique to your property itself or your situation, anything that's apart from what your neighbors would also face.
I mean, I had three choices on the form, and I selected myself. I think the next one below it was the neighborhood and then the public at large. I could have maybe been in one or the first two, but I just selected the first one. And
Would you like to appear later on in the hearing as a witness to assert these things as well?
It's,
Might be more.
again, I'm subject to your folks' opinion, because I'm a rookie at this. You tell me when it's the right time for me.
Yeah, as long as you don't want to participate in the case and cross-examine and have those rights as a party to the case, then that's,
No, I just want to put forth,
Sure.
my concerns and see if, planning could, possibly
yeah.
ask for some adjustments to satisfy some of these things, and, what's reasonable and what's not. I'm just,
We'd love to hear it later on, so let's do that. I'll take that as an ask for withdrawal to that application, and we'll
Okay.
go from there. We'll call you up right after the hearing's over.
okay, all right,
so much.
thank you.
Moving to our applicant then, is David Raffitz? Yes, sir. Please, yeah, come on, yeah. If you want to set up there, that's great. If you want to set up below, it's fine too, yeah. And we'll swear you in.
Want to sit here? Okay.
Test that mic, make sure it's live.
Think so. Can you hear me?
Sure.
All right. And I'll just swear both of you in at this time. And I'll start with whoever wants to go first. All right. Please raise your right hand and state your name.
David Graffius?
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Please raise your right hand and state your name.
Michael Fernandez?
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome you both today. If you'll just start by giving us an opening of what you're here to present, and then we'll go forward with your case. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Again, my name is David Graffius with Gray Engineering, 132 Pilgrim Road in Greenville, South Carolina, a civil engineer and applicant for the project. Michael Fernandez is here as the developer, and we'd be glad to answer any questions that the board has today. In terms of the project, Dana mentioned that it's Swannanoa Apartments. Consists of two new apartment buildings. They're 3-story walk-up style, garden-style apartments. Each have 24 two-bedroom apartments for a total of 48 units. The existing property was developed before as existing storage, trailer storage. So there was existing fill that was put on the property. So it has been developed before. There are still some existing slabs and building structures on the property. These would be removed. There's existing 2 access points now, so we would propose 1 access point off of Highway 70. We've submitted application to the NCDOT, and it is pending. We would provide on-site parking, approximately 93 spaces, to serve the development, along with landscaping and stormwater to serve the development. Amenities are not detailed, but are planned to include a gazebo or fire pit, sidewalks, walking path, dog park, and substantial landscaping on the development. We propose some site fencing along 3 sides of the property, open to the front. The site sits about 15 feet below Highway 70. That's the existing grade now. And in terms of the site layout, I just want to kind of give some insight as to the reason why we designed it the way we did. The geotech engineer determined that the existing fill has some pretty poor soils on it because of the fill that was imported from the previous development. So they said you need to lower your structures and move them as far to the front of US Highway 70 as possible. So that's kind of the reason for the configuration of the buildings from an engineering standpoint. And so just to address some concerns that we were made aware of, the site plans that we submitted are R2 scale. 1 inch equal 30 feet is the scale on a 24 by 36 size paper, so I can accurately say that the buildings and development is to scale. The site would have its challenges because of the existing topography on the east property line. And so we would look to, in the final design, and of course, any final design would need to be approved by Buncombe County Stormwater and Erosion Sedimentation Control. There's no public funding on this project, so I think it would be a county-reviewed project. So we would develop a pretty detailed and comprehensive phased erosion sedimentation control plan to address any impacts to that eastern property line and throughout the site itself. We would also have in design permanent stormwater detention that addresses water quality as well as water quantity on the site with an on-site detention pond. Again, we would try to limit as much impact to that eastern property line as possible, leave as much of that slope undisturbed as possible, as would the design and development allow with the review from the county. And so with that, I don't know, Michael, if you had anything further to add as far as the development, but again, we'd be happy to address any questions or concerns.
Yeah, first thing, Michael Fernandez is the developer here on this project. I want to apologize to Gabe. I almost wiped him out as I was trying to park in here. He looked at me like I had 7 heads, so my apologies coming up and
Might not hold that against you.
trying to navigate the parking. But my partner on this is long-term resident of Weaverville, born and raised here. He's been here 40-something years doing projects in town. And, you know, this site, he came to me about a year and a half ago of an old storage site. We had the idea to bring housing to this market and kind of looked at some other similar projects of what had been done in the area. And that's when I engaged David and said, you know, does this seem feasible? And he said, we'll take a stab at it. And, you know, here's where we are now, months and months later of planning, you know, doing due diligence on with you guys from the zoning side. From now, you know, we're more focused on the erosion control and some of the concerns that have been brought up in the site, and that just is the nature of this territory with development. So here to answer any questions I can as far as concerns of these plans that we have, and you know, that's why we made the trip here to answer everything in person, and just like Mr. Fisher said too, so happy to discuss that all.
That's great. Do y'all have any other professionals you've engaged to present anything to the board today as far as traffic engineer, as far as appraisal, anybody else like that?
No, not today.
Okay, good. And the board, any questions from the board at this time? Dave, you want to start us off?
2 quick questions. I'm familiar with the Sotera bins that you got there, and I know it's a Greenville-based company. I know that they are not operating up here now. So in the event that they don't start operating up here, although I wish they would, your design here doesn't seem to give you the flexibility to have a enclosure. So have you thought that through at all?
I did not.
Okay.
And so if that is a concern, they do not operate in this area. We've got some contacts with them. We can certainly check on that relatively quickly. And if needed, we could pivot to an on-site compactor that would be screened and that sort of. I
Okay.
think we have room on the property to adjust that.
That's something for staff to consider. The other question I've got is you got a shed here right on the property line, and I'm not sure, is this a 0 lot line development property, or what's with the shed opposite, literally right on Mr. Phillips' property line?
If you're referring to the eastern property line, there's a small shed to the east of the development.
Right.
I think that's an existing shed that's on the subject property.
well, when
That was
you-
just shown on the survey.
Well, it's actually shown on your landscaping plans, because I was looking at the landscaping, I was taking a look at Mr. Fisher's comments about the noise, and the landscaping doesn't have the arborvitae's for that 15 or 20 feet in front of it, meaning that the sound buffer wouldn't be there, which would normally be provided for the noise buffer by the arborvitae's. So I was wondering, is this 0 lot line? Is this a plan? Was this an oversight?
Again, it showed up on the existing survey, so
Sure.
we didn't want to disturb it. The landscape consultant didn't put landscaping through that existing shed, but this is a landscape plan that can certainly be modified if necessary. We just didn't want to, I guess, disturb the existing shed, even though it's on the subject property.
It's your plan.
Yeah.
So
I-
if the shed's there, my question would be,
Removing it.
We have no issue
Yeah.
removing it.
I think to answer your question, potential oversight and just on the landscaping side didn't come to us with that, so happy to remove that and add the buffer.
that would go a long way, I would imagine, towards
Yes, sir.
the noise pollution.
Yep.
Okay.
And you have single-family residences to the east side on the border of this property?
Yes.
And you own the first lot, but not the second lot? The top, the front lot, not the back lot?
If you're facing the road, the 2173, is that what you're referring to?
Right,
Yeah,
there's
that
two
was-
houses.
That was part of what was going to be required to be combined, recombined through this. And we had left that for, can let David speak more, but we left that for flex space to maybe a potential amenity if that was recommended. But that would be something that we would have to combine and then,
Yes, we would need, to make the development work, we'd need to incorporate that small piece of property into the development. We would remove that house and, as Michael said, use that area for a picnic area or something that's obviously, it's a little bit off of Highway 70, but it would be fenced in
Yeah.
as kind of a private amenity area.
we left that as flexibility and open to recommendations.
That's great. Other questions?
Just one, why was it decided to go to 43 feet? Is that just to make it a practical building, or what's the explanation for that?
Well, I think it's just the building that was provided by the architect, the project architect, three-story, typical walk-up garden style with the pitched roofs. That's the very tippy top of the roof, is the 42.69. I don't know the definition of building height, if it's less than that. But that's the reason for the height, is the 3 stories. I don't know that,
And we had built the project previously, this similar floor plan here. So the thinking there was, those plans we know work. We've engineered them, the architect's done their work on it, the builder side of things, and then also the lower that property sits, it's going to kind of, I think, offset with where the existing topography is. So it doesn't look like it's just sitting in a hole.
Are there other taller buildings around that 35 feet, or?
I have not.
We're
I
pretty
would
set
refer
on
to-
these plans is what we would ask for from the county's perspective.
But no, I haven't checked to assess the other building heights.
Questions? Bill?
Now, going back to the height, are you able to lower the height? I mean, was the architect told that this is the ordinance? Can you lower the height?
I mean, we certainly did. This is just what we've built before. We know that works. It's a good product from a leasing standpoint, for the end user on the tenant side of things. And, that's why we asked for the variance we did.
Let's look at this case unique,
Sure.
because we don't go back necessarily.
Sure.
Okay, in this request, can you lower the height?
We'll certainly ask the architect and see what the implications are on that.
Yes, we can ask the architect to lower I would say, the roof structure. that
Okay,
it's
so
lower.
if the architect says you can lower the height, then the information we're being provided today could be changed. Is that correct?
Yes, just like the landscaping around the shed as well. Yes, it could. Yes.
Do we know the pitch of the roof, or the height of the roof, rather, from the top story? I see the photograph of the same product you've got here. The photograph's included in your application, but no aerials,
Yeah.
laterals, yeah, what do you call it?
I don't have
Yeah.
architectural floor plans or
Right, yeah.
building elevations.
Okay,
So
great.
I'm not sure I can answer the height of the roof.
If we, this is a question for staff, on that note, if we are going to consider adjusting the roof height, this height of the project, essentially, is that something that's significant enough to reconsider at a future, once that question's answered by the applicant. Substantial enough change for us to look at as part of this. We don't want to approve a taller height and then have them go and weigh whether the taller height or this shorter one is, better later.
Just so I'm understanding, so can you repeat the question?
Sure, yeah.
Thank you. There's a lot.
43 feet, I think, is the proposed deviation here.
Yes.
If they go back this next few weeks and decide in consultation with the professionals that a lower roof height is also feasible here,
Mhm.
And the board wanted to go with that, would we need to push it next month to hear that? Because, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you'd have to decide today either to approve the deviation, or they can decide today, well, we can actually do the 35-foot or under. They can always go lower, they just can't go higher.
Right. Other questions? Let's get Paul first and come back to Joel. Yeah.
Would you remind me how many feet below the street this project is?
It's approximately 12 feet below the street. So
It's 12 feet below the street, and they're
the-
asking for a height that's
Approximately 8 feet.
8 feet higher than what the county allows. I mean, intuitively, it sounds to me like nobody would notice it because it's 12 feet below the street.
Considering the road height, it may seem like it's a lower level building, you're right, but it is right on the road too, so that height could be more impactful visually, because it's right on the road rather than set back, So yeah, you're right about that. Joel?
Yeah, again, getting back to height, when you said you go back to the architect and see you could meet the zoning variance or at least get closer to it.
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, do you want us to approve this permit even though the design may change?
I think what we're asking for is what we've presented.
Well, just to interject, before we answer, we're really not able to see a design change if we approve the site-specific development plan today in that way. That kind of a change would warrant them coming back for an amendment to the special use permit for the board. So we don't want to
Once the design
have
is
to come back
changed?
twice and get two approvals for that, but it's easier just to kick it and consider the whole thing when it's fully, when we have the feedback given to them today, and then we come back with a better plan for them and for the community.
So in other words, I'm not sure what you're saying. Are you talking about them requesting a continuance till they come back?
Right. Because
Okay.
in that case, we'd be approving a special use permit today, and then next month, a special use permit modification, which is a whole separate hearing,
Okay, the other question I have is about traffic. Now, from what I understand, you didn't conduct a traffic analysis.
Correct. I believe we were told by the county that one wasn't required for this project. I may be mistaken on that, but I think in our due diligence early on, we had a traffic consultant lined up, but I don't believe one was required. I guess it wasn't enough to require to warrant a traffic study is the correct.
Okay, well, then I got a question. I know there's some requirements that got to be met by NCDOT. So are you saying all those requirements have been met?
No, our driveway encroachment permit has been submitted to NCDOT, but it's under review. And so we haven't gotten all their comments or addressed all their comments yet. If there was a comment of traffic study, we would certainly adhere to that.
Andy, as far as the architect goes, I'm happy if this is, and it's a little abnormal, but I'm happy to step out and call the architect. He had something come up today and wasn't able to make it, just for the sake of everyone's time here, for the roof concern, but.
I think we could do that. The only danger is we wouldn't have plans submitted to the board at that point today to
I
approve
meant
that.
more so just for a stronger reasoning, on architecturally speaking, on if we needed to stay where we are. And that would be the request as the plans we submitted.
Is there possibly an elevation that I'm not seeing on these
I don't
plans?
see any elevations, but right, yeah.
So my challenge here, personally, is I don't know what that excess 8 feet looks like along the road. It may be a total non-event, but I would normally have expected to see something like that indicating with a little man down there and so on and so
Okay.
forth. I just don't see it.
Right.
I was hoping someone could point it out.
Sometimes we get that, often we do
Yeah.
get that, but not with
But
this.
for a height variance that they're asking for,
Right, it would be something very useful for the board. Did the staff had a comment or not? No. Okay. You mentioned no public funding on this, but NC Housing Finance Agency is a quasi-public. Did y'all submit a permit, or are you seeking a permit from the NC Housing Finance Agency for help with construction on this project tied to affordable housing?
No, no public funding.
And are these market rate, are these planned to be market rate units, or are they, is there any sort of, any unit allocation for affordable housing in any way, any manner?
Not at the moment.
Okay. And remind us of the parking count you've got here and how that ties in with the parking requirements. Is that part number of spaces?
We have 93 parking spaces. I believe that meets the requirement.
Okay.
How many parking spaces again?
93?
It's for 48 units, so
Yes.
what's that come per unit?
1.93, sir.
what does code require? Guessing staff would know.
Anybody have that number on it off the top of there?
1.75.
Somebody does. I knew it was 1.75. Okay, that's great. So that leaves, doing the math, that leaves how many guest parking spaces? 1.75 to 24 units at 2 bedrooms each.
It's tight. But it's code.
It works, yeah. It has to meet code, yeah. Right. Okay, anything else at this time from the board? Okay, I expect we're gonna entertain the idea of pushing this next month to get a revision on this building height possibly, and maybe some, a new drawing certainly, but maybe some elevations if you all end up doing that. You don't have to, of course, but you certainly could get that feedback and that redesign on the roof. And then, yeah.
Is there an email I could send these
Sure.
plans to?
Griffin's got the email for you.
that we can pull up for David?
This is something that you're trying to display to the board here at this meeting, or are you talking about going
I
forward?
was just going to show the elevations.
Okay.
Oh, just send it,
Just
yeah.
as a visual, I think.
Let's see. It's going to take a few minutes for me to be able to get it all, because, I mean, we didn't
Yeah.
get it in advance, and so it's not on the website.
But we can admit an exhibit here, but it's not usually electronic, so that's the only issue we're gonna have just with, is what you're talking about.
So I
Usually it'd
have
be a
to
handout
figure
for the
out
board.
how we are going to get it from,
Could we
you
get
know,
any-
if it gets emailed to me, I can post it to the website so that we can pull it up.
That would work if.
But that
that's
will take probably
10 minutes or less.
5 to 10 minutes, yeah.
It's, the board probably would like
The
to see
the
that.
other option is we can print copies of it.
Let me ask this, we're certainly willing to do that. If we have a revision, if there's a revision to the building height, we would likely need to see plans for that, and those aren't likely available today, right now, unless you do have those, because we're talking, we need that consultation with the architect, of course. So do you want to just consider?
I guess before we go through the
Consider it next month?
building, like height revision, to Paul's point, is there a way that maybe we can get some clarity around where the site actually sits and what that height falls under?
Yeah, sure.
Just from the
absolutely.
standpoint of, like, I've got a full set of architectural plans. These
Yeah,
are
and
the plans that I would like to request for a
Absolutely.
vote on.
Yeah, let's do that then, and then email those over and have that discussion. And I also want y'all to, if there's anything that you're unclear on and you need direction on, other than that, this is the time to be doing that before next month, so we can get that. So just be thinking about that too, you know? But it appears to be that the building height, if it could be lower, would be a favorable idea for the board, if you are willing.
Okay.
So,
And if I may interject, if they do have architectural plans today and say that it was agreeable that these architectural plans are fine, but they wanted to lower the roof height,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't have to see those. So you can always approve these architectural plans, and then at a later date, even they come in and they say it's going to be lower anyways at a staff level, because we have no design standards. If it's same footprint, same look, that's fine. So I just wanted to make you aware, if they have architectural plans, but
Thank you, yeah.
you want it at 35, we could use those at a 35.
And to
That's
Savannah's
an important point. So the board, you know, you don't have to have those plans in front of you. I misspoke there. Most members like to see that, of course, so it's hard to envision without that redone, but you certainly could approve it with a certain number, not seeing those plans in front of you. Yeah, Joel?
Yeah, regarding the height issue, would the application have to be resubmitted or amended? Because as now, the application is asking for the height variance.
It would not need to. So let's say, for example, you approved a taller height today, but later they came in and said it's going to be lower. They can always lower a building. They can always shrink a building in most scenarios at a staff level. So no, they would not need to amend the application.
So technically, they could build a lower height roof after we approve what they presented today even, but there wouldn't be the same impetus to do that, if that makes sense, if that's the right word.
And just one last thing.
Because they have approval for the higher. So if the board wanted to lower it, that would be appropriate to lower the amount in the ruling.
For the sake of this meeting, if I would have known it was a requirement to submit them, I would have brought them here, but it wasn't a requirement on this application,
fine.
so that's just why we don't have a hard copy.
That's totally fine. If you're willing to take 10 minutes and do this, let's email them over, and then we'll take a short recess. Yeah? Okay. Thank you. 5 to 10. elevations in front of us here. If you want to continue your presentation.
First, I greatly appreciate the recess. I think it was helpful for everyone.
Yeah.
Currently, the building's at 42.69 feet. I did talk to the architect. The building could be dropped 2 feet, which is the reason for the requested variance at today's hearing and part of this application. The implication of that for the tenants long-term down the road is that ceiling height would go from 9, which is more standard towards multifamily housing, to down to 8.
Okay.
So the way it sits, to answer Joel's question, I think if you got anything else for me, that it could be dropped 2 feet. The implication is now more towards the long-term, benefit of the tenants, taking that from a 9-foot ceiling height down to an 8.
So we goes to 40 feet for the request rather than 30?
Yeah, I'd have to clarify, but 40 and some change.
41 feet.
So we get 2 feet back off the building height, but 3 feet, one on each floor, is taken from the size of the units.
Correct.
So the roof is bigger, taller. We're only getting 2 feet of savings, right, from 42 to 40
Correct.
total. So we're taking 1 foot off each floor, 3 floors. How's that? Okay. The 6.9's getting me.
I think it was on the plan set, looked like a 12 by 4. Sorry.
Yeah, we had the architect on the phone, and he couldn't lower it any more than that number.
Okay.
I think it's actually 4 and 12.
It was
if
4
my
and 12.
eyes are right. Yeah, so that's pretty flat. No,
And that's the new one that we came back with, is 412?
That's the way it is today.
Okay.
Yes,
oh,
sir.
yeah, I mean, from my perspective, this is a pretty standard garden-style apartment. Ceiling heights are pretty normal for what we see, and that's actually a pretty, for an A-frame roof, fairly flat, about as flat as you can get structurally.
So from 42.69 to 40 feet, if we pass that today, would that suffice, or would we be short by 4 inches or something?
In terms of the.
Is that pretty safe if we say 40 today as the max height?
You said 2 feet, 42.
Yeah, I'm
0.69.
hesitant to say yes and lock myself in and then have to be like, hey, sorry,
Right.
guys, we've changed. I'd have to do that revision, which is the reason for the request.
I would be more comfortable with 41 than 40 because of the architect's 2 feet on the phone.
Yeah, so, the board can discuss, but I guess for during our deliberation, but if we're looking at postponing the meeting to get a better example of what they're looking at, a more precise example, because we're only saving 1 foot here in this discussion of lowering the roof. 1 foot total off what's proposed. So, 41 feet. Paul?
If it were up to me, I would just vote to grant the request as it is.
I would agree. This building is part and parcel of many, many SUPs we see. I don't see anything that stands out as far as any other ones we've approved in the past either.
Are there other comments?
I guess what I'm looking at is what's the reason for going 43? Is there a valid reason? Is there some pressing reason to do this? Because I feel like we're setting a precedent, because with the height at 35, the next builder's going to come in and say, well, this one was approved at 43.
Yeah, we don't set precedents here.
Generally, each project is on its own, but if there are others around it, that could be something that's brought up by a future applicant, but we can't be bound by that, of course. But taking the project on its own, though, you're right that if it's 8 feet higher, so, yeah, that is something. And so by reducing to the lowest level they can, to the lowest pitch they can, we're still not getting a lot of reduction there. So, but it is, again, below grade, below the road grade, so it may feel better, more aesthetic.
It's not on top of a ridge.
So, but it is right on the road too, so there's the back and forth, you don't know how it's gonna look until it's built, so.
I'm thinking that I'm encouraged by a developer for residential rental that is looking at 9 foot versus 8. that additional space, cooling, so on and so forth. It makes me feel good about where their head's at.
Okay, what we should do now, before we move to board deliberation, we're kind of already in it now. So let's do a closing statement, if you will, or anything else you want to present, of course, and then we will close public hearing and then have the board deliberate and vote. We have witness? Okay, let's do that as well. But let's have, before you close up, let's do the witness first. I have you down here. Mr. Fisher, right? Yeah, if you'll come up, that'd be great. We already swore you in, so you're all set there.
Did everyone get a copy of what I put in writing as my concerns? So I'm not
It
reading.
is, let's see, is it online, Griffin?
Be on his
Yeah,
standing
so
application.
we'll have that here.
I mean, it surrounds three issues, some of which y'all have been talking about. But, looking at the building, the prominence of the structure, it's true it's 10 feet below the road, but the residence that I own is at the toe of the slope of the north-south facing building. And it's a good 12, and it predates the East Asheville storage. That house was built in the 20s, but you're looking at a 50, 55, 60-foot prominence behind this house. So it's about a 45-degree sight line, and that's just, interpolating off of dimensions that are marked on the plans, because the title block says the scale is 1 inch equals 1,000 feet, and that's clearly not correct, but at least from the PDF that I downloaded. So I was trying to look at the, spatial relationships and things like that, trying to look at how it's going to affect the western view from the property, but I'm going to have to go out and be looking at 45 degrees to see sky. So that's a concern. And I would just ask I know that they've presented that, there's bad soils maybe on the fill, toward the MSD easement that's back there, but, possibly look at resituating some, the building some. I mean, I know they've spent a lot of time planning this thing and laying out the site, but, this is my first chance to see what's going on. So just consideration. I mean, for me, it'd be nice if the building that's oriented north-south was east-west along the Norfolk and Southern Railroad right-of-way, because right now, their east-west building is located along US 70. It doesn't have any homeowners on either side of it. On the back of the property, you got Norfolk and Southern. They're not going to be impacted by it. It doesn't impact their business. So, so that's the concern I have, is how it's going to affect the western vista. I know they've got 2 rows of staggered arborvitaes that are 6 foot tall to be planted along that back property line. But that property line's at the toe of a slope that's 12 to 13 feet high. In order for it to block the view or even the sound, you're probably looking at least 5 to 10 years of growth. Even an arborvitae, which is a fast-growing tree, is going to be a while before it goes from 6 feet to, I did just some basic geometry, and you're looking at about 18 feet of height before I'm shielded from that structure. So that's a concern I've got. Now, so moving to the next thing is just looking at constructability. My property's at the toe of this slope. There's no construction easements to access the base of the slope. So, how do you do the work on this slope? I know they said there will be minimal work on it, but, you've got to figure out how to do the construction, sediment and erosion control plans, long-term stability. Is there any ditch along the toe of the slope? There's not one now, so, what are they going to do for drainage and runoff on that slope? Or is it going to run into the back of my house? So that's a concern that we have, protocols in place to prevent equipment and sediment encroachment, on my property. Right now, there's trees and vegetation there that provides some natural erosion protection and some stabilization, but I think there has to be a more comprehensive slope stabilization plan there, otherwise some of that dirt's going to be in my backyard, which doesn't have much drainage. I've spent a lot of time there now trying to improve the drainage, just because have water underneath the house, so I've done things to improve it. I don't want to see sediment in those very minimum slopes that I can work with there. I have trouble getting the required slopes that I need for my drainage as it is. So I just, addressing those things as they do this. And then the last thing that I would bring up is, the concern for noise from having 18 outdoor sections of heat pumps or condensing units, depending on what kind of HVAC system they put in. But, having the collective noise, be a constant droning, basically at least 2 seasons, reflecting off the back of this building, onto this property. So that does concern me, because even if you, look at non-coincidental use of equipment, some of it's going to be running all the time when you got 18 units. So, I'm concerned about that. It's as close as it is to property line, exceeding whatever the noise thresholds are for day and night. Honestly, I don't know what the ordinances are as far as day and nighttime noise, but I plan to go out and do at least a baseline acoustic measurement along the property line before anything happens, so I can get an idea of the delta there. But, so those, those are the things that I'm concerned about. Again, I'm not opposed to the development. I just would like, some of these things to be considered in how it's planned. And I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity to present.
Thanks for being here today. We appreciate it. Any questions from Mr. Fisher from the board? Thanks so much. Appreciate you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And now we allow a closing statement, of course, and you can address anything that Mr. Fisher had presented or any concerns there, if you want to.
Thank you. Just to address some of the concerns regarding the reconfiguration of the buildings, we did consider, we had several site iteration layouts in planning. And again, the engineering of the soil and the support of the structures was the underlying factor for having to put the buildings where they are to fit 2 buildings on this property, unfortunately. In terms of the landscaping at the toe of the slope, this could be moved to the top of the slope to provide more effective screening and noise canceling measures. We'll also have a fence at the top of that slope to the right of that building, which again can provide some screening and buffering of the noise on that side. Constructability, a legitimate concern. That slope is kind of a mess down there, so we want to try to avoid as much of that as possible and the impact to that as possible. I think we have the ability to limit the amount of grading on that slope along that property line. And in terms of constructability, we're pretty confident with the good contractors that we know and have that they can work from top of slope in terms of not getting any equipment encroaching on any of the neighboring properties. Any work on that slope can be done by hand. And so we're confident that the contractors could do any work on that slope. And again, there would be detailed measures to address during construction, erosion sedimentation control on that slope, as well as in the design, the final stabilization measures, final grassing, matting, turf reinforcement matting on the slope, stone, whatever it takes to provide permanent stabilization measures. Any runoff at the toe of that slope would be directed into the existing ditch that's there now. So there shouldn't be any sheet flow or additional runoff directly into yards. So, yes, that's all I have.
And how easy would it be, given some of the concerns here, and looking again at the location of the condensing units, especially in the building on the right, the easternmost building, to relocate those from that side of the building to the front side, ideally, or, yeah, have you thought, can you think about that, or is that?
We did ask the question.
'Cause you got porches on both sides of the
Planning
building.
and due diligence, there's a matter of entry and exit points. I don't know, the contractor was telling me what the limitations are as far as where those condensing units are. And so we can certainly look to try to move those, and we would be happy to do so, but we might have some limitations.
Parking and the dumpster and everything, we just couldn't do it.
In the event that they cannot be moved from their location currently, is there a possibility of a willingness on y'all's part to consider a noise buffering wall of, say, 4 feet, a few feet out from those units to help buffer that noise and direct it, or?
We could do that around the units.
They'll need full airflow, of course, but close enough to be able to try to direct it upward.
Yes, yes.
What is the height between where the units are planned to go and the height of where you plan the arborvitae's? Because I see a lot of lines and a steep wall. I'm wondering how much height that sounds.
That's about 12 feet as far as the
Already
slope
12
there.
feet below grade.
It's below the road, right, but to the neighbor's lot.
It's 12 feet.
Down
Yeah,
to his
it's-
lot. Okay.
Yep.
They're below the neighbor by 12 feet.
And also the road by 12 feet, by 10 feet, 8 feet.
Then there'll be arborvitae's.
Right. Yeah.
We could move the
It's a lot of
landscaping
attenuation.
to the top of the slope, saving disturbance and
Okay.
vegetation is there on the property line, as well as making the vegetation more effective from a visual and sound barrier standpoint.
Is that?
Yeah, I mean, then you get 12 feet, and then you get the trees, so you got a lot of height to attenuate noise, is what I'm assuming.
Sure.
Yeah, what he said.
I think so.
Yeah.
How are we phrasing that? Do the staff have a good phrasing of that exchange?
Well, the way they've drawn it, I mean, if you go down to the landscape, they might have done it unintentionally, but everything we've just said, which is those units, if those lines add up to 12 feet, and then the trees, the arborvitae's, are done in staggering, one off to the other, so they create a triangle of buffer, and they're at the top end of that wall, so maybe it's not 12 foot, maybe it's 10 foot, but you're still gonna get that distance, which is, I would imagine, not a sound engineer, but just kind of common sense, says it's not next door, it's below next door. If anything, it'll resonate to the ground neighbors downstairs, will be saying, wow, that's a lot of noise, but it shouldn't affect the neighbor 12 feet up.
I don't think that represented a change then. Okay, gotcha.
No.
Okay.
I was going to say, after reviewing the site plan, it would just be as we do on all orders per the approved site plan, so.
So long as the site plan gets rid of the shed and continues the line of the arborvitae's, yeah.
Okay. So as far as what's being presented today, the only additional condition the board might ask for agreement on from the applicant is that the shed be removed.
And the
And the
arborvitae
arborvitae.
line continued. And I'd also get rid of the word proposed, wherever the dog goes and the people sit to chill outside. They got the space for it, they're saying proposed, so on a proposed, they could just not build it.
Yeah, sure. So there'll be a activity, there'll be a recreation area there.
For dogs and people, yeah.
Dogs, people. Okay. Okay, does the board have anything else? Yes, Joe?
I'll close it, unless you have another question.
We're not quite closed yet, but if you have any questions, now'd be the time. I think I'm all set, except for one last question. Is the applicant agreeable to those two conditions we just mentioned regarding the removal of the shed and replacement of arborvitae along that barrier, and also committing to a recreation area in the proposed amenity area for people and dogs?
Just wanted to clarify the first comment about the removing of the existing shed. Did we want to move the proposed landscape screening to the top of the slope to be more effective?
It looks like it's
I
at the
think
top of
so.
the slope from what you described. So you said that those trees are 12 foot higher than the air conditioners.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that the slope along the property line is lower, sir. I'm sorry, I just want to clarify that.
Your property's
it goes
lower than the
down.
neighbor's higher than you.
No, the neighbor's lower.
The neighbor's lower,
Okay.
yes. So,
Yeah,
So it's
So-
reverse of what I was
yes.
asking.
right,
Yes.
so it's still right on top of the ridge.
Yes,
Okay. Right. Yeah. So, and the shed's not being used, it's not valuable, it's not being used currently, not planned to be used.
it could be the neighbors, and again, we don't want to disturb it.
It's on, I mean, it appears to be on your property line, though.
That's correct.
Like, I mean, no, I'm sorry, it appears to be almost fully on your property. So, is that right?
On the survey, yes. I'm good to remove.
Do we need to coordinate that?
Because, this is unusual, because we're going to make it a condition here, let's go ahead and have Mr. Fisher, he has a hand up over there. Is it possible to have you come up real quick, just real quick, to amend your prior statement about the shed?
It can be clarified with.
Shed and its ownership.
That's what I was gonna
Yeah.
clarify with you. I said,
Yeah,
there's
it-
no better person
Yeah,
to
I think we need to.
than Mr. Fisher.
The people that own it are the folks, and there's a mobile home.
Sure.
It was sitting on the corner there. They spun it 90 degrees to get off the corner. They built it.
Encroached on the property. that's
Yeah,
right.
it's, and they're using it.
Okay,
And I
well,
mean, they're
I'll-
using it for storage, but they turned it because I was planning a fence on that property line,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't be able to get in their door.
All I was gonna suggest was after this, I'll talk to Mr. Fisher, sort out the shed and say, do we need to pick it up, move it, continue trees to David's point? And it should be very simple, so.
I mean, I like the concept of the screening at the top of the slope.
Right. Well, I'm good with, we'll work with those people behind you, move
We
the shed
appreciate
over
it.
back
Yeah.
on their property and
Thank-
continue.
Thank you,
the
Mr.
trees.
Fisher. We appreciate you
Anything
so
else
much.
from me?
I think you're all set, yeah, thank you.
You good with that?
No, let's make that a
Thank you.
condition as we stated, that we'll work with the neighbor to relocate
Yeah.
the shed if it is an encroachment meant to be saved, but we'll remove it from this property and install the arborvitae in its place. Sounds good. Any other questions before we close the hearing and talk about it? Okay.
Yeah. The
Public-
last thing I would say
Yes.
is, apologize to Gabe one more time. I won't hit him on the way out, but you guys have been great and very reasonable, and I appreciate the time this morning. And all I can say is, think developers sometimes get a bad rap and try to come in and maximize the site and, not consider things like neighbors or tenants. And, now it's coming fresh of the reason for the variance of just maintaining the integrity of the building for
Sure.
the tenant side of it. And then, they've been great to work with, but as far as Mr. Fisher's concerns, I would offer, if we had anything we could help him with on the drainage side of it, our graders are there. We don't want to tear up his property, but if there's anything to look at and consider from that standpoint, we would consider it.
And we've got, the ordinances with the county for stormwater and erosion
Yeah, no,
control, so that's
yeah,
going to be
I
all
was gonna say,
built
last
into
thing,
this later.
Once
Yeah.
the plans are stamped, we have to abide by that erosion
Right.
control. so.
Right. We appreciate you being here, appreciate the application, and your willingness to talk about it a little bit more and make it a better project. So, public hearing is closed. We'll open up to board discussion and deliberation and a vote. Joe, you got some thoughts?
Yeah, a couple things here. You mentioned you have discussions with Mr. Fisher. I'd like to see, or at least hear, that you resolve things before
Yeah, I'm here
consider.
today and
What's that?
I'm here all day and I'll talk to him after this and
Well,
is that something?
we're not here all day, unfortunately.
You here all day?
Yeah, I still got questions of the height, and you call the architect. And I guess what they said with the 2 feet, that's presented in the evidence to the board as factual. Was the architect sworn in?
No. That was
No?
all testimony from the applicant.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to hear from the architect. I mean, my recommendation, because there's some loose ends here, is the request applicant ask for a continuance. Maybe we can have the architect here. They also mentioned the construction firm they hired. They're confident they would ensure minimum effects as far as erosion and stabilization. And I'd like to see some more facts on that. So I would recommend that the applicant request a continuance till we get some clarity on this.
Other thoughts?
I think we could address some of that concern about height by asserting that the applicant is going to have 9-foot-high ceilings. If you've got 9-foot-high ceilings inside, then that basically the rest of the building kind of conforms. If they end up doing something different, then the plans don't get approved on the staff side. But other than that, I don't have a problem with the height per se, because of the 12-foot height difference. I think that the applicant is being as genuine as possible, but I hear your point, and it's very well stated, that we haven't heard from the architect directly. But the fact that is salient to me is that it's 9-foot ceiling height. Multiply that by 3, you get 30, and then you got all the rest of the stuff for the roof. You're right there. So,
I agree with both those points, and I would just underline that we do hear about the 12-foot, grade difference between the property and the road, and that comforts me a little bit with the building height being 43. It's actually not going to appear that way to passersby or to people driving by. It'll appear 12 feet lower, so roughly. So that's encouraging. If that were not the case,
Yeah.
I think I would be pushing to modify this a little bit. So.
and I know that section of road. I'm
Like
back and
above the
forth
road,
there
12
a
feet, yeah.
lot, So.
Yeah. That's right, yeah. So, any other thoughts on the application? And we have 2 conditions added on from the hearing today at the, related to those 2 issues that the staff has down too, so. All right, if no other questions, we'll open up to a motion. And there are motion sheets down there on both sides.
Let's see here. So, let's see, Mr. Chair, based upon the evidence presented to this board, including the following exhibits, the petitioner's application, the submitted development plan, the GIS maps, the staff report, testimony presented at hearing, and the modifications that have been discussed and agreed to by the applicant, I move that this board adopt the following findings of fact: that this matter was properly advertised, is within the board's jurisdiction, and is ripe for its consideration. That this application, together with the conditions proposed by staff and/or this board and agreed by the applicant, if any, does meet the requirements for granting a special use permit contained in Buncombe County Code of Ordinances, Section 78-61, subsection 3.
There is a motion on findings of fact. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Hearing a motion and a second, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? That motion passes. Thank you very much. Is there a second motion?
Based upon the foregoing findings of fact, and for the reasons set forth therein, I move that the requested special use permit be approved, and that the order approving the permit be adopted and executed as presented and is modified in this meeting.
There's been approval motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Okay, that motion passes. Thank you so much. We'll ask that staff present an order on this case, and then we'll move forward.
I'm happy to do that. I just wanted to be clear on what the conditions are, because I'm a lawyer and not
Yeah,
a
sure.
contractor.
Sure.
So, the one that I have is relocate a shed to continue the line of Arbor Vitae as shown on the site plan. And then I thought there was something else about screening. What are the conditions that have been added by this board?
On that first condition, you had it all right. What we probably want to add on the eastern side of the property,
Okay.
right?
And we'll move in the arborvitae's on,
I mean, the arborvitae's up at the top of the hill, at
and not at the bottom.
top of the embankment, or closer to the built side of the property, not the neighbor side of the property.
Okay.
Off the slope, yeah. Project side of the slope, not the other side of the slope, towards the neighbors. And then, where's my notes?
The word proposed in places for dog park and recreation area be removed from proposed, so that they're there.
Or that there be a designated area for.
Or, so, per the
Leases.
order, we always say as depicted as the site plan, but we could have a specific condition that says, as shown on the site plan, the dog park, proposed dog park and recreation area will be placed there, and it
Yes.
will not be proposed.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Can the board see the order? Oh, there it is.
Yes. If we can plus size it in the frame, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
So dispensing with the caption, this matter having come on for hearing before the board, Buncombe County Board of Adjustment at its March 11th, 2026 meeting upon application to establish a planned unit development, Level 1, for a 48-unit multifamily residential development on tax lot pins 9688-49-0584 and 9688-49-2481 by Michael Fernandez of Cardinal Capital Investment Group LLC on behalf of Jason Dillard, manager for Maudlin Heights Apartments 1 LLC. Having considered the evidence presented to this board, including the application, the submitted development plan, the GIS maps, the staff report, the applicant's affidavits, the testimony presented, and the arguments advanced by the parties, the board hereby finds as follows. 1, that this matter was properly noticed and advertised, is within this board's jurisdiction, and is ripe for its consideration. 2, that the applicant applied for a SUP pursuant to the zoning ordinance of Buncombe County to establish a planned unit development for a 48-use multifamily residential development on the previously listed tax lot pins. The property is located in the R3 residential zoning district. That at the hearing, the applicant and the parties withstanding were given the opportunity to offer oral and documentary evidence as well as to submit questions to each other, county staff, and board members. That pursuant to the Buncombe County Code of Ordinances, this board finds as follows regarding the special use proposed in the application. I need to get a new computer. 1, that the land within the PUD will be under single ownership or management by the applicants before final approval and/or construction or proper assurances have been provided such that the development can be successfully completed by the applicant. 2, that the density is consistent with the intent of the district in which it is located and conforms to that permitted in the district in which the development is located. 3, that the land uses are compatible with and do not violate the intent of the zoning district and do not disrupt the character of the community. 4, that the proposed land use meets minimum requirements for land use development as follows. 4A, the minimum lot size and requirements for the interior setbacks do preserve the spirit and intent of this section and does comply with the density requirements for the zoning district with respect to the total development plan. 4B, proposed heights as set forth in the application does comply with the spirit and intent of this section with respect to the total development plan. Where building heights exceed maximum allowed by the ordinance, this board finds that unique elements of the development impose requirements for additional height that are not universal throughout the zoning district. 4C, this board finds that the minimum distance between buildings will ensure adequate air, light, privacy, and space for emergency vehicles. 5, that the development does provide reasonable visual and acoustical privacy for all dwelling units. Fences, insulation, walks, barriers, and landscaping will be used for the protection and aesthetic enhancement of property and privacy of its occupants, screening of objectionable views or uses, and reduction of noise. Multi-level buildings are located in such a way as to dissipate any adverse impact on adjoining low-rise buildings and do not invade the privacy of the occupants of such low-rise buildings. 6, that the structures located on the perimeter of the development will be set back from property lines and rights-of-way abutting streets in accordance with the provisions of the zoning ordinance controlling the district. 7, the board finds that proposed parking does comply with the spirit and intent of this section. 8, as applicable, this board finds that the conveyance and maintenance of open space, recreational areas, and communally owned facilities are in accordance with NC Gen Stat 47-1, the Unit Ownership Act, and any other appropriate mechanisms as specified. 9, this board finds that the building envelopes are shown in the submitted plans and depict the maximum expanse of the proposed footprint of the structure. B, that pursuant to Section 78-677G of the Buncombe County zoning ordinance, satisfactory provision and arrangements have been made for at least the following as it relates to: 1, the proposed use will not adversely affect the health or safety of persons residing or working in the neighborhood of the proposed use. 2, the proposed use will not be detrimental to public welfare or injurious to property or public improvements in the neighborhood. 3, the proposed use will not cause or have adverse effects on surrounding properties due to noise, vibration, odor, or glare effects. 4, satisfactory ingress and egress for the proposed use of the property and proposed structures has been provided. Particular attention has been paid to automotive and pedestrian safety and convenience, traffic flow, and control. 5, provision of off-street parking and loading areas where required, with particular attention to the items in Section 78-658 of the zoning ordinance have been arranged for. 6, provisions for adequate and proper utilities with reference to locations, availability, and compatibility have been arranged for. 7, provision of buffering if deemed necessary with reference to type, location, and dimensions have been arranged for. 8, signs, if any, and proposed exterior lighting with reference to glare, traffic safety, economic effect, and compatibility are in harmony with properties in the district. 9, playgrounds, open spaces, yards, landscaping, access ways, and pedestrian ways with reference to location, size, and suitability have been arranged for. 10, buildings and structures with reference to location, size, and use are acceptable. 11, hours of operation with particular reference to protecting and maintaining the character of the neighborhood are acceptable. C, that the following conditions are necessary to ensure that the proposed use will conform to the requirements and spirit of Buncombe County zoning ordinance. 1, the properties must be recombined prior to submitting for site plan review. 2, the project must be constructed as depicted in the site plan. 3, prior to commencement of land disturbance and construction activity, the applicant shall submit a site plan development permit for the entire project, indicating the following: A, the exact location of all buildings and accessory structures. B, a commercial lighting plan. C, buffering, landscaping, and parking lot landscaping. D, retaining walls. E, easements and rights of way. F, approved E911 road names. G, any other conditions of site development approved by the Board of Adjustment. H, copy of approved permits from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the North Carolina Department of Transportation, and the NC Department of Environmental Quality where applicable. This site master plan approval shall not replace the requirement of pulling an individual site plan permit for each building or structure within the development. 4, relocate a shed to continue the line of arbor vitae as shown on the site plan on the eastern side of the development. 5, place the arbor vitae closer to the top of the slope. And as shown on the site plan, the proposed, human and recreational spell everything correctly, but the proposed human and canine recreational areas will be implemented. 7, the applicant must agree in writing to these conditions prior to the commencement of the site work. Based on the foregoing findings of fact and conclusions of law, the board makes the following, based on the foregoing findings of fact, the board makes the conclusions of law. The applicant's request for the special use permit, together with the imposition of conditions found necessary above, which are incorporated herein as fully set forth, meets each applicable requirement of the Buncombe County zoning ordinance. Now therefore, based on the foregoing findings of fact and conclusions of law, the Buncombe County Board of Adjustment orders as follows: that the applicant is hereby granted a special use permit to establish a planned unit development on the property as requested, subject to the conditions referenced above, which are incorporated herein as if fully set forth. March 11th, 2026.
Questions, comments, corrections, or motion on the order?
I just wanted to hone in on the closer to the top of the hill than where it is now, because closer to is more ambiguous than perhaps just below the apex of that slope. I was thinking,
Agree, yeah.
it's a military crest of the slope. I don't know how to say that in simple words. Just below the apex, does that work?
It does.
Okay.
So place the arborvitae closer to the, do you want a specific distance?
I don't want to say feet, because leave that to the people involved, but if you say closer to, well, is halfway closer to? Sure, 8 inches is closer to, and
Right.
I just want to, I want to give the neighbor the protection that we all have intended to do here, so just below the crest is more specific than closer to, is what I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
Just below or above.
If you do it on the crest, the landscaper may say it needs to be below. There may be reasons why they do that.
Sure.
So we need to give them the room. We just want it to be, have better words than closer to, and maybe someone on this board has a better way of saying that. Great. As landscapers, yeah.
That's
As close
agreeable.
To the crest of the slope as is feasible?
Mm-hmm. With that modification, is there a motion?
Is there another motion?
Move to
On the
approve.
order, yeah. Move to approve, yeah. Second that.
Second.
There's a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes. Thank you so much. Do a quick 5-minute recess, yeah.
Get everything she just said in writing. You know what I mean? So, to the next thing, which is the site plan approval. There's- we're breaking everything apart up here.
Yeah.
So you've got, I went through the, what do they call this? Special use. Special use permit. You have to do all that due diligence work that we had to do.
That's insane. You gotta transport it there.
And we have ZPH 2026-0003, Penley Variance, 2026 edition. We have Mr. Jason Payne, planner, to present.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting this to be disconnected when I came up here. Give me one moment. Okay.
Please raise your right hand and state your name.
Jason
Do
Payne?
you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I certify that this public hearing was properly noticed and all applicable parties were notified of the meeting in accordance with general statutes and county code. I ask all applicant and staff materials be accepted into the record as evidence.
See no objections, so ordered.
This is a review of ZPH 2026-00003, the Penley variance. The applicant and owners are Timmy and Tammy Penley. The property is located at 18 Moffett Hill Road. The size of the property is 1.58 acres, and it is serviced by septic and City of Asheville water. The property is zoned R2, and the applicant has applied for a variance to the zoning ordinance of Buncombe County, Section 78-663, for accessory structures and buildings to allow a side yard setback variance from 10 feet to 5.2 feet, a difference of 4.8 feet. This request is being made to legitimize the placement of 2 sheds. The county is seeking one condition on this variance, that building permits must be issued for these sheds if this variance has been approved. Was any questions from the board?
Any board questions for Jason?
These are currently existing sheds?
These are existing unpermitted sheds, yes.
Okay, could you explain what requiring a building permit for something that already exists means?
They are not permitted. They do require building permits.
And they're, what
Does
size?
that make sense?
It does. What size of what size are the sheds?
I do not have the exact dimensions for these sheds. They both exceed 320 square feet, which is our threshold for the differing setbacks on the side.
12 by 12? 11 by 11?
It is not 12 by 12.
11 and a half by 11?
It's more than that. The applicant can attest to the actual dimensions of these sheds.
Thank you.
That particular was not specifically salient to this, other than the fact that they are both over 320 square feet.
How did this come to the county's attention?
The applicant brought this to our attention in order to try to legitimize the sheds.
Thank you. Yeah. Perfect. I think we're all set. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone here to assert standing in this application? Any standing applicants? None on file before the hearing? Anybody here to assert standing? Okay, thank you. We'll have the applicants approach, rather. And you all can feel free to assume this dais here. Either one? Mm-hmm. Sure. And we'll swear you in first.
Let me just make sure it's on. Okay. All right. Who would like to be sworn in first? All right. Please raise your right hand and state your name.
Tammy Penley.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Please raise your right hand and state your name.
Tim Penley,
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Griffin. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what the request is, nature of the request here.
Yes, the request is to have these 2 metal buildings that I had when we first.
Excuse me
bought the
just a
place.
second, could you speak about 6 inches away from the microphone? Like really, really close?
You can bring it closer towards you.
My wife and I purchased our home around 2015, and we just sold our other home, so we needed to build 2 sheds to store our furniture and things, and our shop tools. And so we built these sheds, and I laid them out, and I took the existing corners, the old pipes that were driven in, and the tree line, and also the fence line that there was built. Actually, now we know it's on our property. So I took those lines, excuse me, and I pulled a string between the two pipes, and I was wrong. I probably should have had it surveyed, but I didn't know I was that far out till I started investigating it and going to the zoning department. And so now we surveyed it, and we see that we were over the line by one shed by, 4'8", 5 foot. And so we also went out, when I laid these two buildings out, I went off the driveway that the home I bought. I went off of the paved driveway, just figuring it was on my land. So I just took it for granted. And so we had someone come in and build the two metal buildings. I put the foundations in, so I was the one that laid out the exact perimeters of the garages, and they're both 20 by 25 in square feet, 20 feet wide, 25 foot deep. So now I'm at the point that I realize that we're over the line by, on one of them, quite a bit, 5 feet, and the other one like 10 inches. And so now the hardship that I encounter is if I had to move them, I'd have to take a tremendous amount of foundation work, concrete blocks out of it, remove it, cut it off or whatever. My wife and I are retiring, so we don't have the money to go through all that expense. Not only that, the sheds, by me trying to get as much room as I could, and I thought I had the room to do it, is that we back out of our little carport and the shed is right there, so we had moved it that 5 feet. Now, if we moved it back, we wouldn't have no place to turn out of our carport. So it'd squeeze that parking area and squeeze that turnaround area to where we couldn't use it. And so those are some of the hardships, but that's the reason why what I had done, when I know now that it was wrong. I didn't do it on purpose. I did it using old fence lines and old fences that were already established. That's the way farmers did it back then. And I just took that for granted. And so that's where I'm at.
Have you all spoken to your neighbor to the south, adjacent to these sheds, and had a conversation about this?
Yes, they wrote a letter explaining that they realized the hardship in doing the line, that we didn't have we only had trees and fences and iron posts to go off of, and we laid it out originally. They acknowledged all that, and they say they don't have a issue with the property. It's still, one shed's 5 feet over because they're not going to use that property, and it's too small to maintain setbacks and do any building or additions on their home. So they have no reason to use that.
We have the letter if you'd like to see it.
I think it's with the application here. I think we have it right here. Yeah. Board questions? That's right. Any board questions or comments? Okay. All right, we'll move forward then. Anybody else you want to call as a witness today or anything? Okay, have any closing remarks before we close it up and talk about it? Yeah.
Do the permits or whatever we need to do to get it all legalized.
Sounds good. Thanks so much for being here today. We appreciate it. Close the public hearing, open up to board discussion and deliberation.
I'm inclined to just move forward and say, yeah,
Agreed.
I think so.
accept it as, especially with the letter from Jason Dockery. Kind of straightforward. It's why this board exists.
There's no neighbor conflict, there's an accident, and, yeah. I think so. Hardship exists, and I feel good about it. Yep. Okay, wonderful. Any motion would be appropriate at any time.
If I have the forms here. And there we go. Mr. Chair, based upon the evidence presented to this board, including the following exhibits: the petitioner's application, the submitted site plan, the GIS maps, the staff report, testimony presented at the hearing, I move that this board adopt the following findings of fact: that this matter was properly advertised, is within the board's jurisdiction, and is ripe for its consideration. That this application, together with the conditions proposed by staff and/or this board and agreed to by the applicant, if any, does meet the requirements for granting a variance contained in Buncombe County Code of Ordinances, Section 78-61, subsection 4.
Wonderful. We have a motion. Is a motion on findings of fact. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Thank you. Is there a second motion?
And based upon the foregoing findings of fact and for the reasons set forth therein, I move that the requested variance be approved, that the staff be instructed to draft an order consistent with this motion approving the permit with any agreed conditions for review and execution by the chair, acting chair, or such person's designee on behalf of the board.
There is an approval motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? That passes. Thank you so much. We'll move to a reading of an order on this one.
In the matter of Timmy and Tammy Penley, this matter having come on for hearing before the Buncombe County Board of Adjustment at its March 11th meeting upon application for a variance to request a reduction to a side yard setback for 2 accessory buildings at 18 Moffett Hill Drive. Having considered the evidence presented to this board, including the application, the submitted development plan, the GIS maps, staff report, site plan, applicant's submittal packet, and the arguments advanced by the parties, the board hereby finds as follows. 1, findings of fact, that this matter is within the board's jurisdiction and is ripe for its consideration. 2, that all required notices were sent, proper signage was posted at the property, and sufficient legal advertisements were published. 3, that this applicant has applied for a variance pursuant to the Buncombe County zoning ordinance for a reduction to a side yard setback for 2 accessory buildings. 4, that at the hearing, the applicant and any parties withstanding were given the opportunity to offer oral and documentary evidence, as well as to submit questions to each other, county staff, and to board members. 5, that an unnecessary hardship would result from strict application of the zoning ordinance of Buncombe County. 6, the hardship does result from conditions that are peculiar to the property. 7, the hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner. 8, the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance, such that public safety is secured and substantial justice would be achieved by granting the same. There are no conditions. Based on the foregoing findings of fact, the board hereby makes the following conclusions of law. The application, together with any conditions referenced above, if any, satisfies the requirements for granting a variance contained in the Buncombe County zoning ordinance. Now therefore, based on the foregoing findings of fact and conclusions of law, the Buncombe County Board of Adjustment hereby orders as follows, that the applicant's request for a variance from the zoning ordinance of Buncombe County on the property is hereby granted. March 11th, 2026.
We have an order presented. Is there a motion?
Could I, before the
Please.
board takes action on that, I do believe that in his staff report, Jason did mention a condition regarding building permits being obtained for the buildings, and I believe that needs to be in the order.
Thank you.
Thank you for that catch.
So if condition 9 would state that the applicants have to obtain building permits, okay, I'll add that.
Okay. With that addition, is there any comment or a motion?
Motion to approve.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? That passes. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here today. We appreciate you. Mhm.
May I please ask for just a couple minutes recess to speak with the applicants before we move on to the next case?
Yes, 2 minutes, 5
Thank-
minutes, yeah. We are back in session from our brief recess to hear ZPH 2026-0004, 00004, the Neal variance. And we have Jason Payne.
I certify that this public hearing was properly noticed and all applicable parties were notified of the meeting in accordance with general statutes and county code. I ask that all applicant and staff materials be accepted into the record as evidence.
See no objection, so admitted.
This is a review of ZPH 2026-00004, Neal variance. The applicant is Scott Barfield. The owner is Donald and Stacy Neal, and the property is located at 9 Nellie Bell Lane. The size of the property is just over an acre. The property is serviced by septic and private well and is zoned R1. The applicant has applied for a variance to the zoning ordinance of Buncombe County, Section 78-642, for a setback off of the front/right-of-way from 20 feet to 3 feet, a difference of 17 feet. This request is being made in order to complete construction of a single-family site-built home on this lot. Does anyone have any questions?
And they're encroaching on the county's setback line, not the right-of-way of the road, right?
Correct. They are not encroaching on the right-of-way. They are 3 feet off the right-of-way line.
Board questions?
I was confused. I printed this out, and maybe I'm reading stuff wrong, but the variance from the community says that they've got a 20-foot, 26-foot setback, and then the application says it's a 3-foot setback. And I'm confused as to what those apply to.
I'll have the applicant speak to that because we do not enforce any HOA regulations. So that would be between the applicant and the HOA, whether or not the HOA for this community would approve this variance for their own purposes. But as far as Buncombe County zoning goes, it would be the dimensional requirements as set forth by our ordinance.
Buncombe County, they're 3 foot off.
They are 17 feet off. Yes.
Yep.
I mean, that's the
They're
encroachment.
built right on the road, essentially.
That's right. They built right on the county's setback line.
And the
The
assertion-
road is another few feet away.
The assertion here is that happened because the contractor that they hired messed up.
We're gonna hear a story time, yeah. Story time.
Apologies.
Yeah. Any other questions for staff, though? Hearing none, I think we're all set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone here to speak as a party with standing in this matter? Any standing applications? Going twice, going 3 times. Thank you. Mr. Barfield, thank you. Please approach and we'll swear you in.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, that's right.
Please raise your right hand and state your name.
Scott Barfield.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for being here. Yeah.
Yeah, thank y'all for doing what you do.
Yeah, tell us a story.
My business partner, best friend and myself, we built an investment house, and we hired a contractor. The person that was running the job was a third party that we all agreed to. We gave them the plans approved by the county. We put them in a job box on the site. We monitored them and checked on them, but they chose where the corner that it's a modular, and it's set on superior walls. We were trying to build a good house with a good solid foundation. But when they set the corner, they did not order an as-built, or not an as-built, but a foundation survey. We found out about it months later when the bank was ready to release funds. When the house was set, they made us get a survey. It became light at that point. We went to the association immediately because we knew we were over that setback, and we worked with them. They asked us to plant some trees as a buffer along the right-of-way. And their setback requirement is different than the county. They go from center line of road versus their association rules all read weirdly, but the agreement they approved, according to the attorneys, would let the house stay where it was. We also paid some legal fees for them, and we've just been in constant communication with the neighbors, just to let them know that this is happening. My business partner travels for a living. He's in Oklahoma today, or he would be here. Sorry, he's not. Yeah, that's how we got here.
Did the contractor have the benefit of any sort of prior survey in hand, or was it just GIS he was looking at? Do we know?
From what I was told, the site manager was like a separate company, and they pinned the thing. They pinned it about a week before the hurricane. Everything happened. Everything got put on hold, and then it wasn't until I think March of 25 when the house was set. But somewhere in that confusion, it just wasn't double checked. And on a previous job where I was directly in control of it, I ordered a foundation survey. But in this case, my partner said we could hire out help. They had a decent background check, but in the end, none of it worked. So that is how we got to this embarrassing place.
Okay, that's good to know. Board questions? Thoughts?
Yeah, are you upset with the third party?
We got a strategy at our house. We want revenge, we forgive them and forget them. So I'm living in the moment of I want to come sit with y'all and talk this through, but being mad at them, I mean, I learned a lot from it. I'm looking forward to, learning from it, moving on. But are we upset? I don't think I am anymore. I mean, did I answer the question right? I don't hear very
Yeah,
well.
sure. No, yeah, absolutely. Other thoughts?
I got a couple questions. I'm looking at this site layout, Nellie Bell. It's got basically the survey with some hand notes on it.
Yes, sir.
The way I am interpreting this, and I'd like your confirmation or clarity on it, and I don't know the dimensional accuracies of the way this is sketched, it appears that regardless of, the story about how we got here, it does appear that you have a hardship with this lot from a topography, septic, which where I'm going with this is trying to qualify for what we have to look for from granting a variance. I guess I'd like to hear a little bit more, a little deeper dive into that particular sketch there, because the way it looks to me, that house is about the only place it could be on that lot, and I'd like to hear some more information about that particular sketch there.
The previous developer was still involved with the association. He said that exactly thing. He said, I considered it a difficult lot to build on. When we put it in, we used superior walls. We had to order another course of wall that would, in this case, be kind of on the south side of that drawing. It would be facing the bigger side of that lot. They added another course there. In heated discussions with the folks to see if we were upset at them, they said the stability of that slope was a mess. He put it where he had to put it. He drove an extra set of superior wall there. And then we've used a soil engineer to basically relocate, to put that septic exactly where it's got to go. But we did have to add a retaining wall because the slope was so difficult on that downhill side. We put in an 8-foot retaining wall that wasn't in our budget. The thing. And that is how we met these fine folks, and they're like, we did not come to them like these last folks. They came to us and said, you have a problem. So, but the 8-foot retaining wall was also to control that slope. So, again, that.
So the septic and repair area that's shown, that's kind of circled in there, that is your spot for septic.
And if you follow to the point of the lot, it looks like a bird beak. If you go out toward the point, there's some rock outcroppings on that I don't have noted on here, but that's one reason the septic doesn't shoot further to what would be the west, is that there's I think it was put there by the developer. There's some big stone steps going down the front that he meant as an accent. But as you go that direction, you don't have as much land rolling that way to run those septic lines out.
Okay.
questions for the applicant?
So physically, if a car's driving along that road, how close is the front door to the front fender?
I've got a bunch of copies of this, if it would help. It shows the distance of that road, like I printed a ton of them. I know y'all go through a hard time of getting more in there, but if you just like, for conversation's sake, to see it, I don't know how that works. But to answer your question specifically, I think we're about 20, let's see, we're about between 20 and 22 feet from where a car would be in the right lane going up the hill, and then a car coming down the hill, he would be about 28 feet. Okay?
I'd like to see photos submitted. No? No, 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 yeah? Photos, yeah? What, 2 yeses maybe? 3 yeses? Okay. Let's pass them to staff and see if we can't pass them to the board. I guess we can take copies of those after we look at them.
There's a bunch of them. I tried to make enough. Yeah, it's all the same photo.
Okay, yeah.
I think there's enough.
Thank you. Thanks, man. Yeah. Special. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. We hired a drone photographer last week to shoot this so you would see it. So that's pretty real time. And you can see the white line is the retaining wall that was put in just to control that slope coming down. The septic field will be just below the white wall and run a long ways along the right wall, running down to where the silt fence is at. Like those lines will tie just about into where the silt fence is. That's a rough, yeah. So the lines would be there running kind of long ways with the house, and then the reserve area is kind of the brown area below that, roughly. And I do have a copy of the septic permit if y'all would like that, but it's only one copy of it, and I'm sorry.
Any further questions for the applicant? Had you planned to call anybody else up or have anybody else to call up for this?
No, sir.
Okay. Anything in closing you wanted to say?
We appreciate you looking at it. We thank you. Yeah.
Thanks so much for being here for it. Anyone here speak as a witness on this one? Going twice, 3 times? Thank you. At this time, we'll close the public hearing and have the board deliberate. I think we've probably heard a few things about the topography and the size of this lot and the slope of this lot, and all things need to happen in order for any house to get built. And so I sort of suspect they'd be asking for a variance anyway if they were to try again on this. So it's hard to imagine this house fitting without some encouragement into this. For me, I don't see anywhere else for it to go besides being pushed to the right, on the frame. But you still don't have much room there, so.
What pops in my head is, to what degree does the board need to take into consideration the person living in the house and the reason for the setback? Is that a safety thing? Someone careening off the road and going into the front of the house with 1 car length? Or is that not something within our purview? Because that's really the only thing that's kind of in my head. Otherwise, this complies.
We do have to trust, per building regulations and requirements in the state building code, that's going to satisfy those safety requirements. We have to kind of assume that.
So 3 feet. I don't have anyone telling me that 3 feet is okay. I can go more, I judge it and say, I'm coming around the curve, it's a curve, and I'm in a pickup truck, and the next thing I know, I've just plowed into a kid's room. So that's what runs through my head here, not whether the site complies, but whether it is a safe,
Right.
and that's it. That's all that's going through my head.
I think they're 3 feet off the road right of way, not the curb.
Correct, yes. I just wanted to clarify that. So they're 3 feet off the right-of-way
On
line.
the road, they're,
3 feet off the right of way.
they're approximately 18, yeah.
The one car length away, okay.
So that's not an enormous distance, but my issue here, in addition, is the lot challenges here. And if we were to, in the extreme case, ask for the home site to be moved, where would you move it?
I'm not thinking move the home site. Is there anything that could be done on that curve that might alert a car that this is one pickup truck length away? So that's all that's running through my head, but I might be overthinking it, and I tend to overthink things, so.
And somewhat of a slope, I would think.
Yeah, one of the problems with looking at that too much is, I think there's a general rule that says, I'm not sure how this gets phrased, we can't prevent somebody from using a lot for any purpose. There's some kind of a general rule about that. And if that's the only place that they could build the house, then the only alternative is to tear the house down.
Yeah, you move the footprint of the house, right?
But he can't move it.
Secure the variance, and you can't do that here.
Right.
And so then it becomes a question retroactively of if they were to had an empty lot again and had to do this again, they would need a variance to build something there, to build a regular sized home.
But we'd almost have to give them a variance if that was the only place that they could build a house. Right, so therefore,
Given the site dimensions, challenges with topography, those are unique circumstances to this property, which is what we're looking for in a variance, is what specific to this property is going to be unique and individual hardship for this applicant, and that's what we've seen here, I think. Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
Joe.
question about bringing up the safety with the highway. Is it possible to make as a condition, looking at the photograph, I guess upper right, to put in some kind of barriers there?
Against, you mean like retaining walls against the road?
Well, something, okay, to prevent, as was brought up, someone across that curve and slamming into the house.
So I just wanted to clarify, Mr. Barfield, please correct me if I'm wrong, but part of the requirements for approval of a variance from the neighborhood HOA is that they have to plant a landscape buffer within the right-of-way as shown on the site plan there of 10-foot trees. So they're along the curve, along the facade, there will be a planting of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 8 10-foot trees, spaced 8 feet apart, so that's what's showing.
There were 10, and if you pass this driveway, there's a cul-de-sac above this that the photograph doesn't show, and there's currently 2 houses above it. That cul-de-sac then turns and leads up the hill, but there is I guess you would call it like a break for traffic. We come down and they have to turn in a cul-de-sac to come back down this road. So there's like a speed control measure built in a cul-de-sac that you might can see on one of the other attachments. But yes, they have us putting in 10 trees that are 10 foot each at 8 foot sections there. But if the board would feel better with some sort of a guardrail,
Is that buffer supposed to mainly protect the view, the lights come into the house, or protect a vehicle from careening off, or both, or?
They didn't give me any direction on that. They just said that's what they wanted as an association.
Okay,
Both.
both, maybe. Okay, all right.
I think that accomplishes the concern.
Yeah, I mean,
There's something, and we've considered
Maybe
it,
not.
and there's something reasonable.
maybe not in the early days, but shortly thereafter.
Precisely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like there's 5 lots up the hill from this. Is that about right? So it's not like it's a thoroughfare.
Do that.
It's got 1,000 cars a day going through here.
What kind of surface is that road?
No,
I think it's chip and seal. It's either pavement or chip and seal is the road out front. I forget which.
Torrent.
Okay, car, yeah. All right. Other thoughts? Yes, George, Joel?
Yeah, came up a couple times, the HOA. I don't think it was clear whether the HOA is agreeable to this variance or not.
Yeah, they went to great length to get it recorded. It's been recorded. There's a copy of it in the documents. They are,
I think yeah, he did establish that. I think that's a big part of this for me, and if they're okay.
we try to communicate with them a ton. Like I texted them all and said, there's a meeting. If you need to come, please feel free.
Yeah, no, you did the right thing.
Okay. No other comments or questions? We'll ask if you have any other thoughts, Mr. Barfield, and then we'll close up the public hearing and deliberate.
Thank you.
Anything else? You set? Okay. All right, we'll close that up and open up to board discussion deliberation.
I think everything that's been said has been correct. You know, I think, I mean, it's a shame that this happened, you know, retroactively, but I think we're right. Had they been doing this up front, I think they'd have probably been looking for a variance. It's a tough spot.
That's one of the biggest things for me. The topography of the lot has been
Yeah.
established as the hardship here, and it's got 2 or 3 different things to talk about with
And-
that. So,
And while not in our purview, you know, I think it's great that, you know, that lots can be harvested and as many homes be created, you know.
It's in the best interest of the
Every
neighborhood,
house out
so.
there, you know, it's a win for everybody. So,
I agree. They would have been here, regardless of whether this happened, they would have been in front of us for a variance, either way this.
all right, so we have a motion on the variance. I don't have a sheet in front of me, sorry.
I don't know.
Pass me
I'm
one.
sorry.
Pass me one, I'll do it.
Guess I have him here.
David's doing
Mr.
such a
Chair,
good, David's
based
doing
upon
such a good
the
job.
Evidence presented to this board, including the following exhibits: the petitioner's application, the submitted site plan, the GIS maps, the staff report, testimony presented at the hearing, I move that this board adopt the following findings of facts. That this matter was properly advertised, is within the board's jurisdiction, and is ripe for its consideration. That this application, together with the conditions proposed by staff and/or this board and agreed to by the applicant, if any, does meet the requirements for granting a variance contained in Buncombe County Code of Ordinances, Section 78-621, subsection 4.
There has been a motion on findings of fact. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? That passes. Thank you.
Based upon the foregoing findings of fact, and for the reasons set forth therein, I move that this requested variance be approved and that staff be instructed to draft an order consistent with this motion approving the permit with any agreed-upon conditions for review and execution by the chair, acting chair, or such person's designee on behalf of the board.
There's been an approval motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? That passes. Thank you very much. We'll ask for a reading of the order.
The matter of Neal. This matter coming on for hearing before the Buncombe County Board of Adjustment at its March 11th, 2026 meeting upon application for a reduction to a front yard setback for a single-family residence dwelling at 9 Nellie Bell Lane by Scott Barfield on behalf of Donald Barton Neal and Stacy Scott Neal. Having considered the evidence presented to this board, including the application, the submitted development plans, the GIS maps, the staff report, site plan, applicant's submittal packet, and the arguments advanced by the parties, the board hereby finds as follows: that this matter, was in the jurisdiction of this board, that all required notices were sent, proper signage was posted at the property, and sufficient legal advertisements were published, that the applicant has applied for a variance pursuant to the zoning ordinance of Buncombe County, Section 78-621, Sub 4, dimensional requirements to request a reduction to a front yard setback, and that at the hearing, the applicant and any parties withstanding were given the opportunity to offer oral and documentary evidence as well as to submit questions to each other, county staff, and to board members. That an unnecessary hardship would result from strict application of the zoning ordinance. The hardship does result from conditions that are peculiar to the property. The hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner. The requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance, such that public safety is secured and substantial justice would be achieved by granting the same. There are no conditions. Based on the foregoing findings of fact, the board hereby makes the following conclusion of law. The application, together with any conditions referenced above, satisfies the requirements for granting a variance contained in the Buncombe County zoning ordinance. And now therefore, based on the foregoing findings of fact and conclusions of law, the Buncombe County Board of Adjustment hereby orders as follows, that the applicant's request for a variance from the zoning ordinance is hereby granted. March 11th, 2026.
Any board comments or modifications to the order? Any motion on the order?
Motion to approve?
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? That passes. Thank you very much. Any other matters from staff today? Any other matters from the board today? All right. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second? And we are adjourned.